What Jordan did before the game, was that just a conditioning workout because he wasn't going to play?
Yeah, we're just trying to get him back as soon as possible.
What's the plan for this week with him since we're on that subject?
You always want to know. I'm sure he'll be limited and then work it day by day.
So he should be able to take some even more this week?
Well, we'll see. I mean, again, I think anybody that saw what happened to him, I mean, that's a legitimate injury. So, you know, he's working through it. He's doing everything in his power. He wants to be out there, and, you know, we want him out there. I just cannot articulate the job that he's done in the short period of time. You guys don't get it. I know you think you got it, but you don't get it. What he's been able to do, I've never seen something like that.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That short Matt LaFleur comment with the music behind it in the intro, that was from the postgame press conference yesterday. Clip's been played a lot. I've heard it in a few of Zach's updates today, right? Basically telling the Packers beat, and I think by extension, fans too. It's like, hey, you may think you have an appreciation for what Malik Willis has done. You might think that you know, right, how impressive this is. You don't. Trust me. You don't know everything that goes into getting ready to start a game at quarterback in the NFL. You don't know how hard it is to just switch teams and start a game and lead a team to victory 3 weeks later. So that was Matt LaFleur from yesterday. You've probably heard that cut by now. The 60 seconds of Matt LaFleur and beat reporters going into the intro, that was from just about an hour ago. And I got to tip my cap to Matt LaFleur for lots of reasons, for football reasons. They're 2-0 with a backup quarterback, but I also got to tip my cap to Matt LaFleur for his gamesmanship with Jordan Love's injury. I'm betwixt and between. I have no clue. I thought I had a clue. I've been walking around work today. I've been in the studio. I was talking with Bill and Ebo. I think Jordan Love could have played yesterday. I think he's just about 100%. I think they said, you know what? If we're on the fence anyways, let's start Malik Willis. We feel good about our chances of beating the Titans, and they were right in that assessment. I think Jordan Love was 99%. I think he could have played yesterday. And then I listened to Matt LaFleur today. Well, he's going to be limited. And, you know, it was a serious injury. Remember, folks, remember what he looked like on the ground. And I'm like, oh, man, is he going to miss another month? Like, I'm just getting jebaited 100 different ways by Matt LaFleur the last couple of weeks. So I have to tip my cap to him for the excellent game planning and the coaching the last 2 weeks against the Colts and the Titans. But I also got to tip my cap. The gamesmanship has been excellent. I can't get a read on this guy. It's good for Matt LaFleur. I thought I had a good idea. We're going to see Jordan Love this week. And maybe I'm taking the cheese. Maybe I'm a sucker and I'm listening too much and I'm reading too much into the press conferences. But I listened to his press conference earlier today. Well, I don't know. Maybe it will be another week of Malik Willis. And maybe that won't be the worst thing in the world. I don't know. He's looked pretty good. He's looked great. They've been able to win 2 games without Jordan Love. This is the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. Hope you had an outstanding weekend. It was easy to have an outstanding weekend. We didn't have to suffer through a Badger football game on Saturday, and we got to watch the Packers win another game. Or even if you're a Vikings fan, my God, what a great day. And if you're a Bears fan, look, you're used to it. I don't act like that was the worst football game you've ever watched. You've been watching football games like that with every single different quarterback and every single different coach your entire lifetime. So Bears fans, let's not act like you had some sort of catastrophic Sunday. That was just another Sunday for you. So even you guys, you couldn't have had the worst weekend possible. I want to take lots of calls tonight, reacting to the Packers' victory yesterday. 608-321-1670 is the number to call and text. We'll get into calls here in just a couple minutes. If you're ready, I'll come to you. You can tweet at me at Wisco Grant, and you can comment on the live stream, which is going on YouTube, Facebook, and it's going on my Twitter as well. But if you want to watch on YouTube, I think YouTube's a pretty slick way to watch something because it's stable. You can put it up on the TV or you can watch it on your computer or whatever. Just look up the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills. Find the YouTube page. Very easy. There's no other Wisco Sports shows hosted by Grant Bills. It's not like the Tonight Show. Like it's a pretty specific name. So you can find that on YouTube and you can like the Facebook page as well. We're going to talk about the nitty-gritty details of yesterday's game, different players, different plays, all that 3rd and 5, all that block that was thrown by, that player. We're going to get into all that. We're going to get into all the different decisions and kind of ideologies that Matt LaFleur had in yesterday's game. Conservative in the second half again, but his team, especially his defense, kind of allowed him to be conservative in the second. We're going to break all that down. We're going to break all that down. That's what sports radio is for. But before we do all that, I think we can't lose this. We just got to take a minute, 2 minutes to appreciate the fact that they're 2-0 with a backup quarterback. Like, we're just a couple weeks removed from watching that game when Jordan Love went down in Brazil, thinking, oh, look, is the season over? Is Jordan Love out for the year? Is the most anticipated Packers season in a long time over before the first noon game of the season? Like, is that how this year's going to go? Is that how the season is going to go? And then we learn he's going to be out 3 to 6 weeks, which I guess was good news. It was better than the alternative, which would be he's missing 10 weeks or he's missing the entire year. But now we're looking at, maybe a month without our starting quarterback. They're already 0-1. And the backup is Malik Willis, who's been pretty poor in every opportunity he's had to play in the NFL. And we're thinking, man, can you get one win? Can you be 1-3, 1-4 at worst? Can you avoid 1-4 or 0-5 and just stem the tide? Just stem it as much as possible till Jordan Love gets back. That's what we were talking about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It was don't act like that was ancient history. That was less than a month ago. And now they've won 2 games without Jordan Love. And the injury news, I think, continues to be positive. Like I said, I thought he could have played yesterday, and then I heard Matt LaFleur's presser today. But maybe I'm just buying into the narrative, buying into the line that Matt LaFleur was feeding in his press conference earlier today. I just don't want to lose the fact that think of the place we're in right now. Imagine telling yourself 3 weeks ago, hey, don't worry, Jordan Love's not going to be out that long, we think, and Malik Willis is going to win both of these next 2 games. We said, oh my God, sign me up. That's incredible. So amongst all the details we're going to discuss from yesterday's game, don't lose that because we would have killed for this a couple weeks ago, right? Also, what a hilarious story. If the Titans, respectfully, were any sort of brand with any sort of national following, if they got any sort of attention, it would be one of the top stories today in the NFL. Imagine for a moment, if you will, the Kansas City Chiefs acquire Trey Lance and then 2 weeks later use Trey Lance to beat the 49ers. Oh my God. It would be everywhere. It would be the number one story. Get effed, Niners, right? The Chiefs took your guy for nothing and then used him to beat you like a drum 2 weeks later. Like, that would be the number one story. The thing is, nobody ever thinks about the Titans. Again, respectfully. But don't let that distract you from how funny this is. Like, I was trying to get onto Titans Twitter last night. It's a small niche group. Again, not a massive following, right? Just to see what Titans fans were saying. They were mostly dejected. They were mostly like, yeah, we suck, and we know it. And those tweets suck. You want to find the fan base when it's in denial. That's funny. The dejected fan base that has accepted defeat, that's no fun. Just depressing. If it's Cubs fandom, it's a little funny. It's still funnier if they're in denial, though. That's the best. You get the best juice out of that fan base in that spot. And it's not like Malik Willis was just handing the ball off like he did against the Colts last week. Although the Packers did run on the Tennessee Titans, despite what some of their players said last week. They're not going to run on us. Well, they did. Mostly in the second half, but it's not like Malik Willis was just handing the ball off. He converted a 3rd and 13. I think he converted a 3rd and 14, and those throws were lasers. And he ran for 75 yards and a score. Just a really complete, really nice quarterbacking performance. And if, again, the Titans were any sort of national brand, it would be like the funniest story going in sports right now, but they're the Titans, so it's more kind of just a fun niche side story. And I get that, right? I'm not the guy who goes to ESPN.com and is like, are the Packers, they should be one of the top stories. Where are they? How far should I have to scroll? Like, I don't care. But if the Titans were, if this was Chiefs Niners, if this was even Packers Bears, right? Like, this would be a huge story, but it's the Titans. So it's not. I get it. I don't want that to be lost on us. I don't want it to be lost on us how incredible of a spot we're in, winning 2 games with the backup quarterback. Now, I don't want to lose that. And I also don't want to lose, just for entertainment value, how funny of a situation this is. The Titans. What a funny situation. I want to talk for a minute, and then we'll maybe take a call or two before our first break. I want to talk about Jeff Hafley's defense. Defensive coordinator, very hot topic on this show, has been for better part of a year. And which, by the way, speaks to the footprint of Vagabond John, caller that we have to our Madison station, WOZN. What a presence, right? You got to tip your cap. There's no defensive coordinator conversation that takes place on the show without his influence. And that's true of many callers, by the way. Cone Roller keeps me accountable with my Aaron Rodgers takes. I always think, what would Cone say about this? And if Cone thinks it's unreasonable, then to be fair, it's probably unreasonable. You all live in my head constantly. I hope you know that. I hope that makes you feel good. I don't know if Jeff Hafley will be a great defensive coordinator. I hope so. I don't know. I'm not really sure what he is yet. Results through 3 weeks are mixed. It kind of depends on what stat you want to look at. If you want to look at turnovers, okay, well, he's awesome, but there's more to it than that. And you have to counter, with the different opponents that they've played and the situation, right? We just don't know yet. It's really hard to draw a big picture conclusion through only 3 games. And I'm so leery of if Joe Barry would have been coaching yesterday, blah, blah, blah. We don't know that. And I think that's a little low hanging fruit. Sometimes it's okay to grab the low hanging fruit, but this team is giving us so much to talk about. We don't need to resort to, well, if Joe Barry would have been coaching yesterday, we would have, that never would have happened. Well, we don't know that. However, one conclusion that I can draw confidently and an observation that I can confidently make and celebrate today. I love how Joe Barry handled the pass rush in the second half, especially as the third quarter was kind of drawing to an end, get into the fourth quarter, because Jeff Hafley at some point in the second half realized, wait, they cannot block us. They cannot pick up the blitz, and Will Levis cannot beat us. Because some quarterbacks you don't want to blitz, right? Because it gives them an opportunity to attack it. Like Will Levis could not handle it, could not make a play through it. You were not scared of Will Levis beating you through the blitz, and you were not worried about even like a cover 0 type blitz getting picked up by the Titans offensive line. They couldn't do anything with the Packers pass rush. And Jeff Hafley at some point in the second half realized, wait, they can't stop this. So let's blitz every single play. Not here and there. Not, well, when we get to third down. No. Every single play. It reminded me of how Steve Spagnuolo handled Jordan Love at Arrowhead in 2021. It's like, this guy can't pick up the blitz. He doesn't know what to do with it. The Packers offensive line isn't good enough to stop us. We're just not going to let Jordan Love play normal football. We're just going to blitz him every play. And it's going to be a catastrophe for him. And it's a little bit of an unconventional game plan for us, but who cares? It works. So we're going to keep doing it. And I think some defensive coordinators, and I'm not going to say Joe Barry because I don't know, but I think some defensive coordinators would say, well, we can't blitz every play. Be reasonable now. Come on. You're talking insanity. Blitz every play. Yeah, why not? If they can't stop it, if they can't block it, and their quarterback can't do anything against it, why not? Why not? We don't get style points for a balanced game plan. We're trying to win the football game. Well, some defensive coordinators would say, well, we have to earn the right to blitz. We need to stop them on first and second down and get ourselves into pass rushing it. No, you don't. There's no rules to any of this stuff. And one of the most frustrating things about football coaches, who are, I say this time and time again, some of the most unique humans that walk this earth, is football coaches. They put up all these rules and parameters that they're supposed to have to follow. There are no rules. If you're doing something that the other team can't stop, keep doing it. Every play. You don't have to, well, we need to stay balanced. No, you don't. Well, we first and second down, we need to earn the right to rush the passer. No, you don't. Just run at him with extra bodies and kill him until the game is over. And that's what they did. And I think some defensive coordinators would have overthought it. And some defensive coordinators would have lived in this set of rules and standards only created in that coach's mind, because that's how coaches work. And Jeff Hafley's like, oh, this is actually working. Let's just keep doing it. Look at this guy. He doesn't even know what's going on. Look at this loser out there. It's kind of mean. He just didn't let Will Levis play the game. Kind of mean, but it works. And it's about winning games, not running a perfectly balanced, curated defense with mixed packages and design. No, just blitz the pulp out of him until the game's over. That's what they did. That was very satisfying to watch, and I think it's the right approach. 608-321-1670. Let's take a call or two, and then we'll take a break. Wisco Sports Show. Hello, who's this? Hello, line 1. All right, on to line 2. Wisco Sports Show. Hello, who's this?
Hey, Grant, bon dia.
Bon dia, Cone. Oh, feels good to be 2-0 with a backup quarterback.
It does, and just absolute tip of the cap in my respects to Matt LaFleur, just coaching his butt off. Malik Willis looking like prime Michael Vick out there.
There were moments, he just looked so in control, Cone. Like, even when there were pass rushers in his lap, and even when I think his original reads were covered up, he just said, okay, well, I'll just run. And I'll follow this blocker. I'll go over here. Like, he just looked so in command, and he looked to be the opposite of Will Levis, which again is why this whole situation is so funny. Like, again, if the Titans were any sort of brand with any sort of national attention, like this would be one of the funnier, bigger stories in sports, but it's the Titans, so who cares?
Yeah, I think it started with getting rid of Mike Vrabel. I mean, like, if
Sure.
you're the Tennessee Titans, who are you to kick out Mike Vrabel, where you've had your most success since Jeff Fisher?
Sure.
So, I'm just a little questioning the Titans in general. On the defensive side of the ball, I agree with you. I think like pointing out the turnovers is ridiculous, and like, oh well, Joe Barry, he didn't get any turnovers.
Yeah.
Okay, look, this defense has played Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis. I mean, those guys turn the ball over more than anything.
Yeah, and I think this defense is more prone to force turnover. I think Jeff Hafley is a defensive coordinator who's going to force more turnovers. I don't think these last 3 weeks are a mirage. And I don't think last year, like, the Packers barely forced any turnovers. Like, Joe Barry could have been better. I don't think Jeff Hafley is this good. I don't want to cherry pick numbers. I just like that Jeff Hafley didn't overthink the game yesterday. He's like, wait, they can't block us? Okay, so we're just going to blitz them until the game is over. And I think some football coaches would have overthought that. And I'm happy that Jeff Hafley didn't. He's like, we'll just keep calling the blitz play until the game's done because they can't do anything with this.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't block anybody but Rashawn Gary. I mean, 8 sacks as a defense, and Rashawn Gary finishes one off for a half a sack. I mean, I owe Lucas Ness an apology. I was calling him out. He showed up yesterday.
Yeah, he was
Our
big
$30 million pass rusher did not.
So I don't know what to do. Kona, I appreciate it. I just want to sneak one more caller in here before this break. And we'll be quick at the break. There's a couple of you on hold. I'll get to you if you can just give me a couple minutes. Look, the Rashawn Gary thing, I think he's probably eating up double teams. I haven't had a chance to go watch the All-22. And by the way, when I say that, it's never genuine. Like, if I'm ever tweeting, like, I'll have to check the All-22. I'm not checking the All-22. There's nothing but sarcasm in my voice anytime I mention the All-22. Yeah, I'd like to see Rashawn Gary get a little bit more. But the pass rush as a unit was getting it done, and Rashawn Gary's a part of that. So if you guys want to fight the Rashawn Gary war, go ahead. And I'll look on, and I'll maybe salute from a distance, but I'm going to sit. At least this game, they got 8 sacks. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth and be like, well, I would have liked Rashawn Gary to get 2 of them. Not today. Maybe another day, but not today. 608-321-1670. One more call, then a break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant Bills, how we doing?
Vagabond John, I am well. Now, again, I care about what the callers think. You guys, you do live in my head. Was anything that I just said about the defensive coordinator unfair? I think that was very reasonable.
None of it's unfair. A lot of it's just very inaccurate, and we'll talk about it. So there's a couple different ways to watch football, and some of it's like, here's the common things we're saying and common things that get us excited as football fans. Last year, the meme was, I'm sick of this dropping back in zone. I want press man. And then
Sure.
Jair Alexander, everybody's yelling at him on Twitter in the first half yesterday. Oh, it's just Joe Barry 2.0 because the Titans scored points on their first drive. And then sure enough, they sit back in the zone and Jair Alexander gets a pick 6. So I'm glad to see Hafley is a little balanced. Grant, the part that we're wrong about today, the Packers only blitzed on 20% of the dropbacks, which is below league average, right? New York Times put out the article today. They only blitzed, and only 2 of the 8 sacks came off a blitz. What I was super excited to see, and I think Cohen, again, a little misunderstood here, they chipped the heck out of Rashawn Gary.
They did.
What was awesome to see, Kingsley Enagbare winning one-on-one pass reps, getting a right tackle benched.
I was going to say, he got that guy
Enagbare.
benched. That's how bad he beat
Sorry?
that guy. He crossed him up like it was a basketball play.
I think what the D coordinator has shown is that he's got this D line absolutely fired up. I don't think it has much to do with the blitzing. Again, 20% blitz rate isn't crazy. What it has to do
By the way,
motor-
I would agree that his blitz rate hasn't been as high. Would you agree that he pushed the blitz button a little bit harder into the third quarter and fourth quarter?
in key moments.
Sure.
moments.
Okay, that's fair.
And I think that's a weakness Joe Barry has. So I'll stand on this hill and say one of Joe Barry's weaknesses is he was soft even in key moments. And I think he brought 6 on that one key third down play when the game wasn't quite out of hand. And I think that's the moment as a fan that we remember.
Sure.
Overall, the stats, getting those pass rushers to win one-on-one, getting Lucas Van Ness an opportunity because of how much attention Rashawn Gary drew, I think is an example of how this defense can have a really, really successful pass rush, even if they are a little less on the pass rush. So
I agree.
or on the blitz percentage. So there we go.
I agree.
So Jeff Hafley, keep the zone. it leads to pick sixes. We saw it yesterday.
And I think, like, I don't know how much credit do you on that Jair Alexander pick six? I would love to sit down with a football coach and talk about it. Like, what kind of coverage is Jair in here? What's he thinking? What's he been told? What is he doing of his own accord? What is he doing, based on the play call, that sort of thing. I think in key moments later on in the game, Jeff Hafley and that defense, they can't stop us. So they started sending more extra guys with more frequency. His blitz rate has actually been lower than Joe Barry. I think we talked about that after week 1. I don't know if we talked about it after last week's game. I think we focused last week more on Malik Willis and Matt LaFleur. I think today is a good day to talk about Jeff Hafley, and I think we can stay on that topic or whatever else you want to discuss next. 608-321-1670. We'll continue to talk Packers Titans. More from you next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Oh my goodness, they went crazy. That was amazing. 8 sacks, right? Oh my goodness, that was super. I mean, they won the game for us. If we want to say that, them guys did great. Everybody deserved a game ball. I'll pay how much money out of my pocket to everybody. They keep doing that. I add to their salaries. Oh my goodness. Hey, that was amazing. But it was good to see, and those guys work hard all week, and you just love to see it come to fruition out there on the field.
It's Malik Willis after the game. That's as excited as, by the way, he sounded his entire presser. If I was Malik Willis, I would have spent 4 to 6 hours, reasonably, 4 to 6 hours on the internet last night, reading every tweet about my situation, about how Tennessee let me go for a 7th rounder. I got to Green Bay, and in less than a month, got inundated enough in the system, got familiar enough with the system and with the coaches and with my teammates to win 2 games as a backup quarterback. And I just, I see clips from other shows and I see a lot of Packers podcasters and I see a lot of opinions every day because I guess I operate like in the opinion space. People on sports talk shows give opinions. So I see a lot of different opinions. And I don't understand why so many people are talking about style points. Well, but they only threw the ball so many. Last week it was they only threw the ball so many times. And you're not going to be able to do that against the Titans. So then they juice up the game plan a little bit more. Malik Willis does a little bit more. And then they beat the Titans on the road. And this week today, I've seen people like, well, you're not going to be able to play that way against the Vikings. But they're not playing the Vikings. They weren't playing the Titans. They were playing the Colts. And then they were playing the Titans. And next week, whether it's Willis or whether it's Love, next they're playing the Vikings. Can we just appreciate they just won 2 games with the backup quarterback? For God's sake. The Cowboys are getting blasted with their starter. The Rams are scratching and clawing to try to win 1 game with their starter. The Packers just won 2 games with their backup. It's really impressive. And tip of the cap, Malik Willis, again, that's as excited as he sounded in his postgame presser. Not talking about himself or the offense, but talking about the defense and how good they were and how they helped him lock down that game in the 3rd and 4th quarter. I think that's telling about Malik Willis. Really good story, really likable guy. I'm enjoying cheering for Malik Willis and will continue to do so as long as he is starting games. Maybe those are the only 2 games he starts. Maybe he starts against the Vikings next weekend. We'll see. Back to your calls, as promised. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, Ed McGuanago.
Ed McGuanago. Hey, what's up, Ed?
Not much. Hey, I hear what you're saying, and people are talking about, it's Will Levis. It's the Colts. It's this, it's that. They're not good teams. Well, we beat the crap out of those teams. They aren't good. Okay, we beat the crap out of them. And you're going to talk about Will Levis making bad decisions. Okay, he made bad decisions. Can the Packers get some credit for forcing some of those bad decisions? Because they put constant pressure on him, and not only were they putting the pressure on, they were capitalizing on it, like getting turnovers. Okay. And so last year, Bryce Young almost beat us, right? So the bad teams we played last year, we either lost to them or we, almost lost to them. Like
it's hard to win in this league, Ed. It's hard to win in this league. I used to say that sarcastically as a cliche, but now in this instance, over these last couple of weeks, I actually think people need to be reminded of that. It is hard to win in this league. I say that without an ounce of sarcasm in my voice.
So true. And so, okay, maybe these last 2 teams aren't, the Chiefs or other great teams, but we're taking care of business and we're beating them handily with a backup, just like you said. Okay. I had one con, and it's why is Rasheed Walker trying to hit for the cycle and get every possible penalty called against him? But you have hands in face, holding, offside, illegal formation.
I think part of it, and Rasheed Walker has been he's been sloppy and he's hurt him with penalties. I also think he's being victimized by, like, the NFL has assembled a task force with their referees. It's like, hey, crack down on all the little details of offensive line play.
Illegal formation. I mean, come
all
on.
of it. Yeah. And
all
look,
right,
Walker needs to be better. Like, I'm not saying the refs have criminalized him and other offensive linemen and found penalties that don't exist. But I think probably a couple of those, maybe in past years, they just let go. That seems to be a real point of emphasis so far this season.
Both things can be true. Yeah.
I love that.
And then my positives are, well, I already mentioned the defense getting after it and then capitalizing, but then the wide receivers are badasses, Grant. I mean, Jaden Reed, all these guys, they're going down and making blocks like a halfback. They're kicking butt, and they're opening up so many lanes.
Yeah.
I got one quick question for you, and I'll let you go because I know you got a lot of people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Malik Willis playing as good as he is and being that creative, do we see him as an extra weapon, and do we maybe potentially start making packages for him after Jordan Love comes back?
You're not.
Take the off the air.
Yeah, take the answer off the air. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate the call. Thanks for listening down to McGuanago. You're not the first person who's brought this up today, Ed. And I don't mean that as a, sick take. Try being first next time. I mean, like, there have been rumblings. There have been mentions. I was watching Bill's live stream today. I might not have been on camera for those who also consume Bill's show. We're training. Stone Cold intern Austin has gone back to school. He's focused on his studies once again at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. So Kate has been training, and I've been working. This isn't rocket science. I'm pushing buttons back here, but I'm showing her. So I haven't been on camera and haven't been as active on Friday and today during the Bill Michaels show. But I was watching the chat, And there are people saying, oh, you got to find a way to get Malik Willis on the field, right? Got to this, that, and the other thing. There might be instances here and there. I'm not going to completely reject the idea offhand. I don't think he's going to get a ton of snaps, but here and there, I'm open to the idea. I'm not just going to shoot that down. Well, that's not a serious idea. That's a stupid idea. Why? Take Jordan Love off the field? Oh, that's dumb. You're $50 million quarterback. Are you going to take him off the field? I don't know. Taysom Hill probably could have got some snaps for the Packers once upon a time. And by the way, I'm not one of those obnoxious Packers fans who thinks like Taysom Hill leaving Green Bay was the worst thing that's ever happened to Wisconsin. No, since what? Like Joe McCarthy. I don't know. What was the last really bad thing that happened? Actually, don't answer that because the answer is definitely political, and I don't want to do that. But some people talk about like, oh, remember when they let Taysom Hill go? It probably wasn't the biggest deal in the world, but that's a guy who could have had some gadget power. I don't know, maybe Malik Willis. At the very least, he's a very good. At the very least, he seems to be a very good, serviceable backup quarterback. Which again, 2.5 weeks ago, we would have killed a stray dog to have. You know what I mean? Not actually. I don't kindle. You get the point. Like when Jordan Love went down in Brazil and we learned that the Packers were going to be without him for 3 to 6 weeks or, whatever MCL timeline we first got, we were like, oh, who's playing quarterback? Is it Clifford? Malik Willis, who just got here? Like, can they trade for someone else? Like, what are they going to do? And we're talking on air. I'm like, okay, if Malik Willis has to make 3 starts, would you just take 1 win? If you get 1 win, would you lock that in? Remember, we talked about that. They're 2-0 with their backup. This is an unbelievable coup for the Packers. That doesn't mean we need to spin it into, well, what happens when Love comes back? Or, well, can they flip Malik Willis? Well, maybe we need to find a package to get him on the field. Okay. All of those things are fine. Sure, those are conversations we can have, but right here and now, they have a good backup, guys. We did it. We're like the dog that caught the car. We finally did the thing that we never thought we could do, and we don't know how to handle ourselves because of it. They're 2-0 with a backup. Celebrate. It's great. It's excellent. We would have killed for this 2 weeks ago. And I think instead, like a lot of Packers fans and Wisconsin sports talkers, they don't know what to do with themselves. It's like, well, what happens when Jordan Love comes back? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know when he'll be back, but he'll play whenever he comes back. Well, should they try to flip Malik Willis? I don't know. Guys, we got the thing that we've been dying for so long. This is the perfect application of this expression. We're the dog that caught the car, and now we don't know what to do. Just enjoy it. What an excellent 2 weeks this has been. For Brian Gutekunst, for Matt LaFleur, for Sean Mannion, for the rest of the staff. Matt LaFleur talked about them all after the game. Jordan Love, he said, has been instrumental in working with Malik Willis and getting him ready. Just enjoy it. It's great. And this is not directed at you, Ed, because I think it is a reasonable little nugget of Packers conversation. It's like, well, maybe when Love comes back, short yardage situations, maybe you find a way to get Willis out there as a runner. Now that opens up, some complications. Like, well, then then it's predictable. Then you look out for Malik Willis on the ground, all those things. But it's a worthwhile question to ask, and it's fun to talk about at the very least. 608-321-1670 if you want to call or text. I'll get to some texts because I haven't addressed those yet. And I kind of want to circle back, talk a little bit more about Jeff Hafley's defense coming up next. It's the Wisco Sports Show.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The football has started, but training camp isn't over. It's training camp for the season that really matters. Oktoberfest season at the La Crosse Beer House. Prepare your appetizer game with pig wings or a 24-ounce pretzel to share with the squad. Main course drills include locally made brats and amazing batter fried fish. Wrap up your training with the best selection of German beers in the area. Oktoberfest won't know what hit it when you complete your training camp at the La Crosse Beer House. Corner of 3rd and Pearl, downtown La Crosse.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I'm sure you've worked your tail off at every stop, but have you had 2 weeks where you and your staff had to work harder to figure out what exactly to do with a player you're still learning? Was it the most challenging 2 weeks as a coach that you think you've had?
I don't want to say that because I think every week's a challenge, no matter who you're playing with. But I think that's just, and I don't look at it like that. I think that's just part of your job. Your job as a coach is to put your players in the best position possible to hopefully give us the best chance of going out there and executing and having success. So every week is a challenge, but I am really proud of the effort that our guys did because you know, like I've mentioned Steno a bunch, but it's not just him. It's all our assistant coaches, and they all play a big part of not only the plan, because we all get together and go over it, but also in game, just the communication that we have. Guys aren't afraid to speak up on the headset, even when I shoot down some of their ideas. And but I try not to do that too much. But I feel like it's a pretty collaborative effort on game day.
I clipped that from Matt LaFleur's presser earlier today. Welcome back, the Wisco Sports Show. I thought it was a really interesting premise and a really interesting question from Jason Wilde. And I don't think that Jason, I don't know. I don't know what he was expecting to get out of that answer. I don't think you're going to get a good answer in a press conference setting like that. I think that topic, that question and answer, probably a little bit better suited for like a sit down or, a one-on-one. But I think it's a great premise. Hey, in all of your years coaching at all of your stops and all of your different positions, have you ever had a busier, harder, more demanding 2 weeks? And, Matt LaFleur gave him every week's difficult in the NFL. But I think it's an interesting premise. Hey, your starting quarterback in a Super Bowl or bust year goes down in week 1 before Sunday. Happens Friday night in Brazil. All of a sudden, hey, Malik Willis got here on Monday. Right now, he's got to start. And he's got to start again. It's just an interesting premise. If you're on hold, stay there. I want to get to some text. 608-321-1670. Gio and DePere says, what is a cone roller? Is that guy in construction? Liked his call and seems like a cool dude, especially if he's in construction. I'm a retired pipe fitter myself. Great show today so far. Thank you, Gio. Speaking cone roller, says, are you pushing the panic button if you're the Bears? Yeah, maybe. I think Gio is a Bears fan, so maybe you two can have a little bit of a back and forth maybe about that. Jay Krebs says, call me crazy. You can't tell me we can't find a way to use Willis. When Love comes back, that dude runs hard, could be part of the game plan. Yep, another person to bring that up. And some of these texts are a couple minutes old, so sorry I'm circling back, but I want to make sure that Brandon in Altoona says, Jordan Love exposed as a system quarterback after Malik shines. I don't know. Maybe Malik Willis is just excellent, or maybe Jordan Love isn't actually that good. I like the coaching staff. I like the talent a lot. I think Jordan Love showed so much natural ability and such a high ceiling down the stretch last year that I love the premise. I don't think I can buy into it at all. But by the end of the year, maybe Brandon, thank you for the text. Duck and Holman says, don't wildcat him. The wildcat hasn't worked. They mentioned this on Pardon My Take. The wildcat hasn't worked since like Michael Vick. Everyone knows what's happening when you run the wildcat. Bobby and Menominee says, Taysom Hill leaving the Packers was the worst thing to happen to Wisconsin since they let the war hero Eagle Old Abe burn in the state capitol basement. Rip. Yeah. Hasn't the Old Abe on top of Memorial High School been vandalized once or twice too? That's horrible and should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Child or no child, prosecute as an adult. Thank you for listening. This text, not a name, but it's passionate, so I want to read it. I completely agree. I'm just overjoyed with the fact that we somehow hoodwinked the incompetent Titans out of a seemingly very serviceable backup quarterback. Remember Seneca Wallace or Deshaun Kaiser? How about Brett Hundley? Remember Scott Tolzien, parentheses, Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award winner? Now we seemingly have a backup quarterback who can win games for us the next couple of years if need be. We would have absolutely killed for that at multiple times in recent history. Go Pack out. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I know he didn't do a whole lot last week. He didn't need to do a whole lot last week. That's the beauty of that win. He did a little bit more yesterday. He made some awesome throws on gotta have it downs and distances, third and longs. And he ran too. So I know sports fans, we're never thrilled. We're never happy. We're never pleased, until maybe our team wins a championship. But Packers fans, consider where we were 2 weeks ago. Consider where we are now. We would have taken this. We would have jumped for joy if we would have learned 2 weeks ago that Malik Willis was about to rattle off 2 straight wins. Coyote Mike, and then we'll go to the phones. Says, Grant, Malik Willis is an impressive young player. I enjoyed his post-game interview. Sounds like a fabulous teammate. In his presser, I'm adding the inflection. I like to dress these texts up a little bit. Otherwise, it sounds boring when I read them. In his presser immediately after trading for Willis, Brian Gutekunst specifically referenced Willis's ability to run. So I think the Packers may indeed be considering alternatives for Willis in their offensive strategies ahead. Brewers, what a win yesterday. Finally shook out of the fog from that divisional winning game. Might it have been the most impactful win of the season? Coyote Mike. Only time will tell, Coyote Mike. We'll see how they fare in Pittsburgh. I thought they'd split with Arizona and then lose 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. So maybe there's a flop. Maybe they'll get the sweep in Pittsburgh. I don't know. Yeah, Malik Willis in pressers seems really impressive. Very easy to cheer for, very likable. Elton Jenkins, Christian Watson, both after the game last night talking about, we wanted to win it for him. I think that's powerful. I think that's meaningful when you have players wanting to win it for you. We talked about this with Pat Murphy. Players like him. They wanted him to succeed in this opportunity. We talked about this with Jordan Love last year. Teammates liked him. We're excited to see him get an opportunity, wanted to help him succeed. Same with Malik Willis. His team really seems to like him, especially when Christian Watson last week didn't get a single target, is blocking downhill, and after the game said, man, I don't care. We won. I'll do whatever it takes. And then this week got a couple targets, was pretty instrumental. 2 huge third down catches for Christian Watson. Stayed engaged, stayed ready. Man, CeeDee Lamb yesterday, Dak Prescott misses him on one pass. He turns into a mopey baby the rest of the game. Christian Watson's like, all right, I'll block. Screw it. Let me find someone's ass. I'll go beat it. Sure. 608-321-1670. Thank you for waiting. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
This would be Tim from Sparta.
Hey, Tim in Sparta. What's going on?
Well, I never call on a Monday.
You typically don't.
Just because. But this weekend was a great weekend as far as the Packers are concerned. And I'm right there with you, Grant. I just want people to enjoy it. Just sit back and instead of, because right now we're all supposed to be going, oh, the sky is falling. We're going to miss the playoffs, everything else, because we got a no-name, nobody coming in here and not throwing the ball and not running and getting sacked and blah, 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 blah. That's all I listened to for the week. And now all of a sudden he's the second coming and there's going to be a quarterback controversy. Really? Really? What are you people smoking?
We got to have something to be concerned about, Tim. And look, I'm never going to tell fans how to feel. Okay. Look, if you're on to the next thing, yeah, yesterday's win, that was yesterday's win, but how are we going to beat the Vikings? Okay, sure. Like, you're always worried about the next thing. I'm never going to tell you how to fan. I just kind of want to reiterate a little bit like, hey, just take a moment, if only a moment, Tim, if only 30 seconds to consider how we were feeling 2.5 weeks ago and how we absolutely would have taken this outcome. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. No matter how you fan, just keep that in mind. That's all I ask.
Absolutely. And you're not wrong. I mean, you got to look at it this way. If we get to 10 wins, we're probably in the playoffs. If we get to 11 wins, we're definitely in the playoffs. How we get there, I don't care.
Didn't matter in 2010. Didn't matter in the Super Bowl year, Tim, did it?
No. And it appears to me that the defense is actually playing. Maybe not the first series of every game, but they're actually there on the field and contributing to keeping us on the proper side of the score. I think that we finally have an opportunity here to play complementary football, where the offense and the defense are both doing the things they're supposed to do in order for us to win games.
Yeah.
But the biggest reason that I called tonight was not about Green Bay or anybody else. I watched the Kansas City the last 2 weeks, and I cannot believe. I'm not a tinfoil hat guy, but I'm beginning to get a tinfoil hat ready to put on my head.
Okay.
If I see the referees do the things, let Kansas City get away with the crap that they've been getting away with. Their left tackle in the last 2 games, I paid specific attention to them, and I don't hate the Chiefs. I don't love them. I don't watch them. But a friend of mine said the refs are screwing everybody that plays them, and they're right, because the left tackle from the Chiefs literally choke held the defender 6 times in last night's game. If you want to go back and watch the 22s.
Yeah, I'll get right on that, Tim. I need to check the all 22.
You can count them for yourself to see if I missed one, and then with that egregious call, or I should say non-call, at the end of the game
in the end zone.
I'm sorry. It's the NFL has to do something, because if you're going to call Walker for the ticky-tack crap that he's been doing, some of them are obviously justified. Others are no worse than anybody else is doing. But let the Chiefs get away with murder, you're going to have a lot of conspiracy theorist people.
Did Rashee Rice, Tim, that's a great call. Did Rashee Rice, he didn't kill anyone. Didn't you just seriously injure someone in that car crash? And I know that's not what you're talking about, Tim. You're talking about murder on the field, penalty-wise, but also, like, not that far off. Yeah, that play in the end zone was probably a penalty, probably pass interference. But also, dude, Kyle Pitts is 6'6". Throw the ball up. Throw it up. Don't throw it at the defender's back. And then it's not a problem. I just don't think problems in the NFL can be solved by more flags. I think everything is made better by fewer flags. I don't think going out of our way to find more ways to penalize more things, I don't think that's good. I think that's bad. Yeah, okay. So, well, the Chiefs are always on primetime, and they're always winning. And nobody wants to see them win because no one likes them. They've become too good. And we're always all watching them on primetime, and the games are almost always close because the Chiefs really haven't played all that well yet this year. I don't know that they've played an awesome game. And we're all cheering against them. So we're going to look for plays we think should be penalties, or penalties are called that shouldn't be penalties. Look, that probably should have been pass interference. But also, Kirk, throw the ball up. Your tight end's 6'6". Throw it up in the air. Let him go get it. Don't force him to reach over the back of the defender. It's not a problem. So, well, I think you're probably right, Tim. I think there are some other factors at play. Nobody wants to see the Chiefs win. I don't really care. I'm kind of indifferent on the Chiefs. They're in the AFC. Mahomes is unbelievable. If Mahomes is stealing wins from the jaws of defeat, okay, he's unbelievable. It's fine. When Brady did it, it's like, wow, they're really going to let that check down on 3rd and 12 go for 14 yards. I'm sitting here watching that. That's something that's really going to happen. Okay, 3 minutes. Got to take a break. Come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1 of the Wisco Sports Show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
It's the Wisco Sports Show. Got about 2 minutes here before the top of the hour. I want to get this caller in real quick, so sorry to rush, but 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's Justin from Eau Claire.
Hey, Justin, what's going on?
Not much. Want to get a few things out of the way. The Chiefs, I'm kind of on the same page. Well, Rasheed Rice, I don't think he killed anyone. Don't know if he hurt people, but they're waiting for his court date, I think, to suspend him, which will probably be next year. And I'm okay with them winning, too, because it'd be so funny for all the talk about Brady being the GOAT just for Mahomes to tie him or pass him and rings right after.
No, I'm great.
Hilarious.
Yeah, look, Rodgers fell behind. He lost his chance, so I'm not protective of him anymore. Now I just want to see Rome burn. So I'm pulling for someone to catch Brady. Yeah.
But anyways, quickly on to baseball. I hate the Cubs, but I'm praying for them to at least take 2 of 3 from Philly, so the Brewers might be able to catch up in the race and get a bye. Don't think it'll happen, but hopefully.
I just don't know that it can after that series that they just had against Arizona. You never say never. You never say never, Justin, but that's fair.
True. I feel like this rest is coming at the right time, too, because they just seem tired. I was happy they were able to come back from 8 down yesterday, but they just seem tired. I'm happy that they're getting a rest when they're getting it.
I suppose. Yeah, 4 games at home. That'll take it out of you.
Yep. And then moving on to the Packers, I actually love watching this team. The defense seems so much better than they did. They already tied interceptions for last year. I love watching them. And I'm actually having fun watching Malik Willis, which I didn't think I'd say. The Titans came in, stacked the box because I thought we were going to run, and then Willis just beat him over the top. And I know we don't want to bring him in for Wildcat because everybody knows what's happening, but I honestly say bring him in for Wildcat to bluff the Wildcat and then just have him throw over the middle if they bite down on the run.
Oh, so like the NFL version of the old butcher boy play in baseball. I like that, Justin. That's a good call. Sorry, I got to run. Look, we could maybe flirt with some Malik Willis, packages down the road. It is fun watching this team right now, right? It wouldn't be the case if they had lost both of these last 2 games, but played pretty similarly, right? The novelty of, look at the different game plan that Matt LaFleur came up. That novelty wears off real quick, but it has been fun. Different game plan, different types of emphasis. It's a really cool story too. Again, if the Titans were any sort of brand, this would be a massive deal. Like imagine if the Chiefs lost Mahomes and they traded for Trey Lance and then used him to beat the Niners. Be everywhere. Get an update from Zach Halper in 2 minutes. No commercials. Hour 2 next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers turned their focus to the Minnesota Vikings today to begin to prepare for their unbeaten NFC North rival. Story again this week going to be whether Jordan Love is ready to return from a sprained MCL that cost him the last 2 games, or if Malik Willis will get a 3rd straight start. Coach Matt LaFleur wouldn't say last week how much Love was doing in practice, but did confirm today that he was taking part in some team drills. Whether those reps go up this week hasn't yet been determined.
Well, we'll see. I mean, again, I think anybody that saw what happened to him, I mean, that's a legitimate injury. So, he's working through it. He's doing everything in his power. He wants to be out there, and, we want him out there.
Packers 2-1 despite being without Love the last 2 weeks. The Vikings, very different story, as they are among 4 teams sitting at 3-0, but impressive on both sides of the ball. The game get to feature the return of running back Aaron Jones. LaFleur called him one of his favorite players to coach. Still has a lot of love for him, just not this week. Turning to the Badgers. They are back from their bye week, getting ready for a trip to LA to face number 13 USC on Saturday. Kick is set for 2:30.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Farmers deal with a lot, including long days, stress, and fatigue. This is your reminder to take breaks, stretch, have a snack, and hydrate your body. Avoid farm accidents by keeping yourself healthy. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn how Rural Mutual supports Wisconsin farmers and prioritize safety on the farm.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers made their way to Pittsburgh today. It's where they will open up the final road series of the season tomorrow against the Pirates. They'll be back home later this week to face the Mets in the final series before the playoffs begin next week. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil. Print.
That was what Jordan did before the game. Was that just a conditioning workout because he wasn't going to play?
Yeah, we're just trying to get him back as soon as possible.
What's the plan for this week with him since we're on that subject?
You always want to know. I'm sure he'll be limited, and then work it day by day.
So he should be able to take some even more this week?
Well, we'll see. I mean, again, I think anybody that saw what happened to him, I mean, that's a legitimate injury. So, you know, he's working through it. He's doing everything in his power. He wants to be out there, and, you know, we want him out there. I just cannot articulate the job that he's done in the short period of time. You guys don't get it. I know you think you got it, but you don't get it. What he's been able to do, I've never seen something like that.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Some Matt LaFleur audio in the intro. Comment from after the game yesterday. You don't understand what Malik Willis has accomplished. I know you think you do. Because all you watch the All 22 and, you know, you listen to the Pack a Day, the Cheesehead TV, you listen to the Wisco Sports Show, you think you know, but you don't. And I think on some level, I probably agree. I don't understand exactly how many hours and how much work and studying and preparation and everything that goes into getting ready to play in an NFL game, let alone playing an NFL game for a team who just acquired you. So I get it. And by that, I mean, I get how much I don't get. I appreciate that. The comment going into the intro, that back and forth Packers and Packers reporters, the Packers beat and Matt LaFleur talking about Jordan Love's situation. I still don't know. Great gamesmanship, and I tip my cap to Matt LaFleur. I cannot wait to tip my cap, my Oktoberfest cap, to you coming up on Friday. Now, I will be in La Crosse on Thursday night. I'm going to be tooling around on 3rd Street. I think I brought this up on Friday, but we were going to Ebo, myself, a boss from here in Madison. We're going to meet with some people in La Crosse about, you know, some sports things. And I bumped into my boss in the hallway last Friday or Thursday or whatever it was. And he said, yeah, and after the meeting, maybe we can all go out and get a beer. And I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds fun. And in my head, I'm like, well, I was already going to do that. If you guys want to be a part of that, that's cool. But I was going to do that anyway. So Oktoberfest for me starts on Thursday night. I'm going to be all over 3rd Street on Thursday. I can't wait. And then on Friday, we hit it quite literally at first light. 6 a.m., the doors will open at Flipside, which if you're not familiar with La Crosse, if you're coming into town for Fest, it's not far from downtown. It's just slightly to the north side, which I think is actually kind of nice. If you're stopping in on your way to work and it's just a brief little interlude of your day, maybe you're going to come in and get breakfast on your way to work. Okay, great. It's not in the thick of it downtown. So it's a little bit of an easier in and out. And if you want to go down to the tapping of the Golden Keg afterwards, well, it's not far. It's just it's slightly off the beaten path, which I think for many folks is actually a convenient thing, which is a good thing. But the doors will open at 6. There's no entry. There's no cover charge. There's no tickets. There's nothing like that. Just come on in starting at 6. Ebo will be broadcasting over the line. I will be there. We're going to tap the golden cans probably somewhere just after 7 o'clock. And if you're not familiar with the tradition, it's been going on for decades in La Crosse. It started with Mike Kearns, the great late Mike Kearns, back in the day when him and some WK2I listeners, before the tapping of the Golden Keg, decided, well, we need to pregame somehow. We need to do something to get warmed up for the Oktoberfest festivities, for the tapping of the Golden Keg. What if we just spray painted a bunch of cans gold and we tap those? So we have our own little tapping before the main tapping, and it's grown and become a thing for listeners and for La Crosse folks, and has been going on for a long time. So genuinely a very cool tradition to be a part of, and an event that's an absolute blast and a half. So if you're a WK2I listener in La Crosse, find a way to get there. 6 to 10 in the morning, Ebo will be broadcasting over the line. We'll be giving away golden cans to be tapped, t-shirts, breakfast buffet, like all the things you would want if you're starting Oktoberfest at 6 a.m. will be at Flipside. I will be back from 4 to 6 for the Wisco Sports Show as well. Happy hour specials for both food and drink. Going to be registering some people to give away some Packers prizes as well. So there's something going on basically all day at Flipside. Food and fun without the franchise, as they say at Flipside. And if you're like me, and if you're going out with a group and you don't want to be crammed into a small, tiny little closet of a bar, Flipside's got some nice space, big tables. So if you're coming with some friends, you're not going to be shoulder to shoulder in there. I think it's a perfect place for this event. I love Flipside. Flipside's been great friends to us on this show. They've helped send me to spring training multiple times. They've sponsored a bunch of things that we've wanted to do on the show. So I can't wait to be there, both for Ebo's show, for my show, probably for a good stretch of the day in between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Be there as well. So if you're a KTY listener, please stop down on Friday. And maybe if you're, let's say, the Madison or the Eau Claire version of Eric on I-90, you got some vacation days and you're like, man, that sounds kind of fun. Go hang out with listeners, maybe take Friday off and come enjoy all Oktoberfest has to offer. Can't recommend enough. It's really not far away from Eau Claire, about 90 minutes, and a quick 2 hours on the interstate away from Madison. So very doable. We had some Madison listeners. I think Mike and Portage. I think G-Dub came from Oshkosh last year. So an awesome party and a really, really cool, unique time. With lots of history and tradition. Cool to be a part of it. Sorry to wax poetic. Back to the calls. We'll continue to talk Packers. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Eric on I-90.
Eric, speak of the devil. Eric on I-90. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Grant.
Excellent. Yeah, I said at the beginning of the show, Packers fans are doing good today. Vikings fans doing great after what you guys did to the Texans yesterday. And Bears fans, yeah, your team lost, but you're used to it. So it's not like this is out of the ordinary, you know?
I want to start out with what I've done to convince myself every Sunday that we can win this game. I don't have the words to describe what I've had to do to convince myself we can win.
Okay.
You may think you understand, Grant, but you don't.
But I don't.
You're just too stupid to understand what I've had to do to convince myself that we can win these games. And now we're staring down the barrel of the Green Bay Packers. All right? Another underdog. You just can't. I don't have words to describe what I've done to convince myself we can win these games and watch them.
I might think I understand, but I do not. I don't understand.
You don't. You're just too stupid to get it.
So are you still waiting for the other shoe to drop with Sam Darnold? Are you waiting for a game where he throws a couple picks, or where does Vikings fandom stand on this guy who might be the MVP frontrunner for whatever it's worth through 3 weeks?
Yeah, through 3 weeks. If you could win the MVP in the first 3 weeks, I think we got him in Minnesota.
Yeah, locked.
Yeah, right? Locked. 3 week MVP for sure. I don't think they have that. You know, I really don't. But no, I'm excited about this weekend. This is the first game that really matters. I mean, they've all mattered, right? Right. You
Easy to say when you're 3-0. It's like, well, this is really the first game. We've beaten the Niners and the Texans. Those were fun, but now it's a divisional game.
They sure were fun. I can't tell you how much fun they were. Now, this one's different because we always split. I don't care how good one team is or the other team. The Vikings and Packers always split. All right? And if I had to bet the farm on it, it can go. This game could go either way. And I don't care who's quarterback. I don't care who the quarterback is. I really don't.
I think you're probably right, because I think through 3 games, Sam Darnold might be due for a little regression. He might be due for a stinker. The Vikings defense, as defenses are, Eric, it's not just Brian Flores, but even the best defenses have stinkers every once in a while. The Packers could have a stinker too. I think this game could go either way, like you said, and I think I would feel that way no matter who's starting at quarterback.
Yep. So it's gonna be a great weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. Win or lose, you know. We lose. We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you going.
Well, I'm looking forward to this weekend too, Eric. Easy to say on Monday night. I appreciate the call and hope to see you during the Oktoberfest festivities at some point on Friday. I know you stopped in last year. Very sneaky international man of mystery, like he says. Nick Wright brought this take up, I think in week 2. Because I sometimes watch show clips of First Things First. The Bears takes have gotten a little out of hand, and that kind of turned me off a little bit. How are all the Bears to the Super Bowl takes going? I'm not anti-Bears. I'm anti-planting your flag in places where it doesn't need to be planted. Like, that's where analysts lose me. Like, a couple of years ago, Greg Jennings was just banging this drum on national TV that Daniel Jones is a top 5 quarterback. It's like, Greg, you don't need to do that. Like, no one's asking you to do that. If you really like Daniel Jones, then be the Daniel Jones guy, but you don't need to be ridiculous. And I think I kind of felt the same way with some of the Bears takes. Like, Nick Wright is like, I think the Bears are going to the Super Bowl in the NFC. It's like, okay, so you think it's going to come together for the Bears very quickly. Then don't communicate that with a take that leads us all to believe that you're just crying for attention, which when you say, hey, Caleb Williams' rookie year is going to take the team to the Super Bowl, we all kind of look at that. Bill Simmons looks at it and is like, you're kind of just trying to get aggregated there. So maybe I'll listen to a little bit of First Things First from today on my drive home tonight and see if Nick Wright talked about the Bears. But anyways, that's not the point. The point was going into week 2, I believe, Bills Dolphins on Thursday night. Nick Wright was claiming that this is one of, or maybe he claimed it was the biggest game on the Dolphins schedule, the Bills at home. What he was saying, and I think this applies, I'll tie this back to Eric's call. For many teams, the biggest game on their schedule is the home game against their biggest, most competitive divisional rival, right? So for the Rams, that would be their home game against the Niners. Although maybe that's a bad example because they don't really have a home field advantage. But let's try to think of a nasty divisional rivalry. Let's think of Big Ben and the Steelers in their prime versus Joe Flacco and that Ravens defense in their prime. The biggest game through this line of thinking on the Steelers schedule is that Ravens team at home, because that's a game you need to win. You don't feel great about your chances going to their building and getting a win, but you need to get at least one, right? You need to get that win at home. I think you could use that logic with this game for the Packers because the Vikings seem to be the real deal. It's a really good roster, great head coach, great offensive mind. I think really good defensive coordinator too. And Brian Flores, that's going to be a tough task. Beating that team at their place is going to be a tough task, which means the game at your place, there's extra importance on it, right? There's a lot more importance on that game because you feel poor about your chances about going up there and getting a win. And then you could say the same of Detroit, right? The Packers could say the same of the Lions. There's still so much season left. It's hard to decide who's the biggest rival to who and for what reason. But to Eric's point, this is a huge game for the Packers because going up to US Bank is so daunting, right? You really want to make sure you take care of that game at home. We'll see who the starting quarterback ultimately ends up being. Let's take one more call here. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's Darnell the Chump.
Hey, Darnell the Chump. What's going on, Darnell?
Hey.
You coming to Fest? You're coming to Fest on Friday.
No, I can't. I am not able to get off of work on a Friday, especially not Friday the end of the month.
All right. Well, you're of the younger generation. It's not like our older counterparts who just have weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of vacation banked, which they've earned.
I was gonna say, yeah. I don't have just a million hours of PTO, so I appreciate that Eric on I-90 has all the PTO in the world, but I do not.
You know what they say? Youth is wasted on the young. You know what I say, Darnell? PTO is wasted on the middle-aged or the old. I don't want to say wasted on the old, but people like Eric on I-90, they don't want to take the vacation days. I would take all the vacation days. You kidding me? If I had Eric's stash, I almost think as you get older, you should be awarded less PTO because the older folks are less likely to use it. Does that make sense? Is that a bad take? Am I turning people off with that take?
It's a take. I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad, but it's definitely a take.
You know what? I'll fix it. If you're over 50 and have a ton of PTO, use it. Yeah, animals, enjoy your life. Enjoy the days off. Use them. Like Eric,
Grant,
like I've convinced Eric to use his Friday.
Think about how much you end up with a bonus at that last paycheck of the year if you don't use it, though. Right?
Money doesn't buy happiness. PTO buys happiness. Fishing trips, that's what buys happiness, Darnell.
Yes, but money buys the boat for the fishing trip.
Sure, okay, yeah, that's true. And that's the give and take. Yeah, I suppose. Okay, I'll back off this take a little bit.
Anyways, the reason I called is in sports talk, you always try and make parallels, right?
I like this.
And I think that I actually came up with a pretty decent parallel for the Vikings right now, and it is weirdly enough the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh.
This year, the Brewers were not meant to do anything. They were not meant to be good. They were not picked by anybody to do anything this season. Similarly, the Vikings were not picked to do anything, and they both had very similar flaws, being the Brewers and their lack of starting pitching, which a lot of people believe to be the most important part
the
of
quarterback of the baseball team. Is that where you're going?
The quarterback of a baseball team, as it were. Now, it seems like the Vikings so far have figured out their quarterbacking situation, just like the Brewers figured out their starting pitching rotation, and now they're outperforming all of the pundits' ideas for their season. Am I way off on that?
And I think another parallel is the Vikings are 3-0. And Darnell, you've watched the Vikings play. Are you shocked that they're 3-0?
I'm not shocked.
Exactly. I'm kind of watching the Vikings thinking, maybe we should have taken them a little bit more seriously. Great roster, great coaching. They got great skill position players. Sam Darnold has never really been in a good position before. So I think that's another parallel is the team is winning. They weren't expected to win. But now that you watch, you're like, okay, yeah, I should have seen that coming a little bit more than maybe I did.
They have the best receiver in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Brewers have the best rookie in the game. There's lots of different things that you can say for just reasons why things happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're not 100% the reason why the Brewers are in first in the Central. That's not the 100% the reason why the Vikings are first in NFC North right now and they're undefeated. But it's kind of fun to play that game where you're like, hey, I watched the Brewers all season. This kind of feels like that a little bit, maybe if you're a Vikings fan, right? So, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
That's a great parallel, Darnell, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I just think, with so many people that we talked about the division, folks thought, well, it's Lions, Packers vying for 1 and 2, and then the Bears, plucky middling team on the rise, and the Vikings would be last. And I believe it was Matthew Caller, Purple Insider, who maybe we'll have to give him a call this week and get him on the show to preview Packers Vikings coming up this weekend. He said, no, Bears will be last. Rookie quarterback. I don't really know what they're doing at head coach, offensive coordinator. Now Bears fandom has turned on the head coach and the offensive coordinator. Tale is old as time, but also tale is told as time. They've told this tale before many times throughout time. But I remember Matthew Caller being like, no, we don't really trust the coaches. Vikings, love the coach, experience, good at tackle, great skill position players, defensive coordinator, been a head coach, knows what he's doing. So looking back, it's like, maybe this shouldn't be a shocker that the Vikings are so good. Now, I think in any event, I'm a little surprised, like with the Brewers. I'm surprised they're on pace to win, 90-something games. I'm surprised, Pat Murphy going to win Manager of the Year. I'm surprised that Jackson Churio is this good. I'm not shocked that the Brewers are competitive. Maybe I'm surprised that they're this good. And similar with the Vikings, maybe I'm a little surprised that they blasted the Niners and that they absolutely embarrassed the Texans. Maybe I'm surprised to the level of which they've been succeeding so far, but I'm not surprised that they're succeeding, or at least I shouldn't be. They have the components. We should have seen this coming, right? As we often, say after the fact when a team that we've, discounted performs well. A tale as old as time in professional sports. One more call, then we'll take a break. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, Tony.
Tony, you're cutting out just a little bit. Are you back in Texas or are you still in Tennessee?
Hitting up the scoreboard. I'm scoring myself all weekend. What a weekend, Grant. You got to get your ass down to Nashville.
You know what? What is it? Just going to bars?
I mean, but it's a different vibe. It was cool. And I'm not even a country guy. I really like the Johnny Cash thing and all that. I just dug it, man. It was fun. And then Packer Nation, Eric from I-90 taking over the city. When's the last time the Vikings took over a city? Jeez.
Well, they tried to take over in Philly, and then they got clocked, and Vikings fans are still holding it against people from Philadelphia that they came in and, disrespected the Rocky statue or the steps.
Oh, weird. Well,
bad example, but that's just what came to mind.
Well, should we do something to Mary Tyler Moore statue when we come into town, Eric? Jeez.
Is that the statue? Is that the most notable statue in Minneapolis?
Yeah, I think so. Just like the Fonzie one is in Milwaukee.
Interesting. I'm trying to think of, or Paisley Park, I guess, but that's not like a statue. That's more of a. I'm going to think about this. You make the points you were going to make. I'll stop derailing you.
We can't rip on Prince though. Hey, no. The Packers. All right, Matt LaFleur. Can we now say this guy's one of the top elite coaches in the league? I know you and I have, but can even our own fans admit that Matt LaFleur is a damn good coach? I mean, who else is out there that you'd rather have than him? Kyle Shanahan? This guy's got one Super Bowl.
He doesn't have any Super Bowl. He doesn't have any Super Bowls.
He doesn't have any Super Bowls.
He's been there.
McVay.
Yeah.
Yeah, McVay, I'm thinking of.
McVay, I would probably take McVay, and I would probably take Shanahan over LaFleur, but it's not some huge gap. Those two come to mind. I think we did this exercise last week. There's not a ton of coaches that come to mind quickly that I would take over LaFleur. It's a small group. There is a group of coaches that I'd take over. I'm not going to sit here and argue that he's, 1 or 2 or maybe even 3, but he's up there. Yeah.
Yeah, and even the general manager coaching combination. I know we hear about Howie Roseman and the Eagles, these guys. Who else would you rather have? I mean, you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they're a joke. The 49ers are hurting right now. Who else would you rather have than LaFleur and Gutekunst, moving on in the next 5 to 7 years. I don't know of anyone else.
The Niners, I thought of this. Speaking of drawing parallels, shout out to Darnell. You know a parallel that I thought of in my car this morning, Tony? The Niners, they're the Milwaukee Bucks of the NFL right now, minus the ring. Because think of Debo's getting a bunch of money. He's older. He's hurt. Kittle's getting a bunch of money. He's older. He's hurt. Right? Brandon Ayuk's out there, but he just got paid, but doesn't really look like he's fitting in. Okay, there's your Damian Lillard. McCaffrey, he's getting older. He's getting paid a lot. He's hurt. A lot of money in aging players that aren't all that durable, Tony. That's the Niners.
The NFL, like sports talk radio, it is cutthroat. It is year to year, day to day, week to week. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. The Rams beat the Niners. I mean, we talked about this last week. All these games, you never know what's going to happen. And the Packers went in there. They kicked the Titans' ass. There's 40% Packer fans. Eric reminded 90, we're going to kick the Vikings' ass and Aaron Jones. God bless, love Aaron Jones, but we're gonna mess them up. I do like Sam Darnold though. He is a good player.
He's baller.
But we are going to mess up. It is going to be. I think the Vikings are due for a rude awakening. And I got to say something about this Wyatt that we got on the D line. This guy is causing havoc, man. The D line and the linebackers are coming together. The defensive backfield, dare I say, might be one of the top 2 or 3 in all of football. Gutekunst is sitting on all his moves this offseason. This team is heading in the right direction. They win this game, they're 3-1. They should be 4-0. I love it. Go Pack, go! Great time in Nashville, Grant. And let's get the victory this weekend and keep going.
Good call, Tony. Appreciate it. Thank you for mentioning Devontae Wyatt, though. I feel like I haven't done my job for the last hour and 20 minutes. Devontae Wyatt's been excellent, and he's been all over the place. And not a shock. He was all over the place last year. He was getting in the backfield. He was, he was shedding blocks. He just wasn't finishing plays. This year, he's been a little bit better in that regard. I've only been to Nashville once. Well, I've driven through. You drive down to Florida or whatever. You go through Nashville. I went to a wedding in Nashville. It was the George Jones Museum. It was very cool. I wasn't 21 yet, which whatever. It's not like I was looking to get hammered, but it's amazing. You go to other cities and other states around the country. They don't just let children into bars like they do here. Pain in the butt. So it was very cool though. I would like to go to the Grand Ole Opry. Never been to the Grand Ole Opry. I like country. I like the old country. I'd like to go to like a country and Western swing dance hall. Put on some boots, not square dancing, but like, old Western swing, Bob Wills, Merle Haggard type. That would be, I'd like to do a night of that where y'all get dressed up and whatever song, fill in the blank. That I would like to do that. I don't know that I need to go to Jason Aldean's bar. Because in spirit, Jason Aldean's bar should be in a small town. And I don't know that I need to be involved with anything Morgan Wallen because I don't really want to get hit by flying furniture. But the other parts of Nashville, I would do. I'd also like to get some barbecue. I feel like they have good barbecue down there. 3 minutes, we'll come back. More of your thoughts, more Packers talk. The Wisco Sports Show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, Anonymous Pete, touche on the text line. Says, are you saying Jordan Love and the Packers have ... a must win? No, I'm not saying this Sunday's a must win. I would never say that, Pete. That'd be irresponsible. Anytime you try to lightly suggest that a game must be a must win on Sports Talk Radio, is it an elimination game? Oh, is the season going to end if they lose it? No, that's not the... Why is no one else like having fun talking about sports? Why can we just not throw things out there and have a laugh? Why does everyone have to get so defensive? Oh, Sundays is kind of must-win vibes around this game. Oh, yeah, some hot take. Season going to end? Is the sky going to fall if they lose? No, that's not the point. Pete is addressing something that I said when Eric on I-90 called in about 15 minutes ago, if you're just joining the show. I just think one of the most important games on every team's schedule, maybe the most important game on every team's schedule, depending on their situation and kind of where they stand in their own division. I think you could argue that the most important game on every team's schedule is their biggest divisional rival at home. You got to defend home field, right? So let's say, the example that I used was the Steelers and the Ravens when the Steelers were actually good with Big Ben and not just defense and running the ball merchants that are never going to accomplish anything. That's what they become, and Steeler fans want respect for it, and it's so annoying. Talk about the Steelers, they're 3-0. No, because, God, they're just a horrid watch, and everyone knows that even if they get in the playoffs again, they're going to get clocked in the wild card rounds. Steelers, pipe down, respectfully, Steelers fans. But let's say when the Steelers were actually a contender, and the Ravens were a contender. Those games, right? Nasty. The Steelers had to defend Heinz Field, the once great Heinz Field, against the Ravens because they knew that going to Baltimore and getting a win was probably going to be really hard. And you could say the same thing probably about the Bengals when the Bengals with Andy Dalton were pretty good. And all the players on Marvin Lewis's defense were trying to decapitate and concuss everybody that they played, right? You need to defend home field in those matchups. Now, it's early, and I still think by the end of the year, Detroit is a team to beat in this division, but Minnesota right now looks awesome. So that's why I think this game is really important for the Packers. It's their opportunity to win off the Vikings at Lambeau, especially with US Bank, because US Bank is a really difficult place to go play, right? That's why, and the matchup that first got me talking about this was some analysis, some takes that I heard from Nick Wright about Bills-Dolphins a couple weeks ago when the Bills went down to Miami and absolutely, they crushed the Dolphins and then Tua ended up getting hurt. That result was not a result of that injury. It was also, the injury just also happened to take place that night. That was such an important game for the Dolphins because going up to Buffalo later on in the year when it's cold, you're not winning up there. So for the Dolphins, who have a home field advantage in that matchup, they definitely need it in that matchup. You need to win that game. And that's kind of the parallel that I'm drawing a little bit here. Packers-Vikings. And that's why I think this is an important game on Sunday. Must win. It's week 4. That's pretty tough. But maybe. Thank you for the text, Pete. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Father Grant.
Is this Bubba?
No, come on, Father Grant. Come on.
Oh, is this Rico? What's going on, Rico? Yeah. I gotcha. Rico and lacrosse.
What's going on, brother?
It's not much. I'm counting down the days this week. I'm not mailing in case the boss is listening. I never mail in a day of work, Rico. You know that I'm better than that. But I am, I'm certainly emphasizing, I'm prioritizing. I'm looking forward to Thursday when I'm coming to lacrosse.
Well, then you might get sick and tired of me this week because I might come out and have one with you Thursday night. And then I will see, and then I will see you Friday morning before work. I have to go to work. I can't get out of it. I don't have any PTO left.
That's
until I'm
okay.
in my 50s.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
And then, then in the afternoon I'll stop by, because I only got to work 4 hours or so on Fridays.
Are you?
So you're stuck.
So I don't mean to interrupt you. Are you on speaker or something? It's kind of hard to hear you. Are you listening like through a headset or through a car phone or something?
Yeah, I'm on my. Can you hear me now?
No, it's the same as it was. I can hear you. It's
Hold
just
on.
kind of hard to You're very modulated.
Is that better?
That is better, actually. And look, I could make out your words. I just know for those listening on the radio or on the stream, it might be difficult. This is much better. Thank you, Rico, for that.
No problem. I took the Bluetooth off. Made it a little easier.
Oh, that's good.
So yes, I told you I live like a hop, skip, and a spit over the bridge over the railroad tracks from Flipside.
Right over the viaduct. You're right in the neighborhood.
Yeah, viaduct. Thank you. That's what they call it here. Yeah, and then and I only got to work 4 hours on Friday, so I'll stop by for the show. Maybe we'll get lucky and see Eric and I-90 again.
That's a rare sighting. Eric
I do believe I am the only person that has met him other than you.
Yeah, because you met him at Beer House a couple falls ago.
Beer
Right?
House.
Was that too? Yeah, that's right. He showed up for the last one, and he strutted in like he knew. He knew. He's like, they don't know who I am, but I know who I am, and they're going to be very excited when I tell them. He knew.
Oh yeah, there, Grant. How you doing there today?
And then you knew. Yeah, he put on the voice. That's great. Well, I am just, you know how excited I am. I can't wait to be back in lacrosse. And I know Ebo and Bill's staying through the weekend. He's doing his Packer postgame show at Flipside on Sunday as well. So he's going to be around for days.
Really?
I'm very jealous. He gets to go to the parade on Saturday. I could go to the parade, but I got Brewers tickets for Saturday night. It's a whole thing, but.
Why?
Well, because the plans were made a while ago, and I can't just you know how expensive hotel rooms are in lacrosse over Fest, Rico. I can't just put myself up at the Ritz-Carlton all weekend. I'm going to bankrupt myself.
I've been hearing people have been renting out their house for $500 a night.
That's what I'm saying.
Airbnb.
You think I got $500 a night to rent out just so I can go drink at my favorite college? Well, maybe I do now that I say it out loud. That's why I got to get all my partying in on a Thursday night.
You bought a brand new to you car. No, you don't have it.
That's true. Shut up. But you're right. but shut up. Yeah. What did you have a thought on this Packer game? I would love to just talk about lacrosse, but I feel like we've filled up our quotient of that. Did we lose Rico? All right. Well, we lost Rico. Well, like I said, we filled up our quotient. I feel like we had the conversation he probably called to have. But yeah, you can see Rico, our other WKTY listeners on Friday at Flipside. Let's take a break. We'll come back. A couple comments from Matt LaFleur that I want to play you. We can get some hardcore Packers talk nailed back down. So we'll hear a little bit from the head coach coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The football has started, but training camp isn't over. It's training camp for the season that really matters. Oktoberfest season at the Lacrosse Beer House. Prepare your appetizer game with pig wings or a 24-ounce pretzel to share with the squad. Main course drills include locally made brats and amazing batter-fried fish. Wrap up your training with the best selection of German beers in the area. Oktoberfest won't know what hit it when you complete your training camp at the Lacrosse Beer House. Corner of 3rd and Pearl, downtown La Crosse.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Next up, Packers 30, Titans 14.
Malik Willis.
Matt LaFleur is the coach of the year through 3 weeks. It's insane. He just last week was like, okay, we're going to play to Malik Willis's strengths. We're going to run the ball a ton. This week, he's like, hey, you want to see another trick? Malik Willis is really good. And he was just bombing it. He threw for 202 yards. He rushed for 73. Coaching matters.
I don't think it's the same Malik Willis. I think they changed him out with somebody.
And offensive line helps a lot too.
He doesn't look like the same player at all.
The Packers just know how to do it. They just it drives me insane, but it would drive me more insane if I didn't expect it. And I expect it, and I did take the Titans today because I didn't expect exactly this. But there's nothing that shocks me when it comes to Packers and their quarterback.
It's a little snippet from Pardon My Take. Big Cat, PFT. I always like hearing what Big Cat has to say about the Packers. I think it's good for business. Honestly, I think it's better for Pardon My Take. I think it's good for business that the Bears always suck and the Packers are always good. I think it's good for Big Cat. PFT, effing Malik Willis. I love how these last 2 weeks have been a realization for so many people in football media and so many football fans. It's like, well, look at the quarterbacks that are good. They have offensive coaches. And it's like Bears fans are like, okay, so we have Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron. That's what I don't. That's kind of what I don't get. I feel like the book has been out on this for a while. I feel like we've known that offensive head coaches paired with younger quarterbacks, it's a better winning recipe than the defensive head coach, Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron. And the Bears have done this before. The Bears have had the defensive head coach and offensive coordinator and then turned around to replace them a year into the quarterback's tenure, which is probably at this rate where this is trending, which is good for no one, least of all the quarterback. But again, I don't mean to get into the weeds about the Bears. 608-321-1670. If you'd like to join the show, still a little bit of time for you to join to talk Packers with us. Bobby in Menominee says it's an absolute travesty that the Packers have their home game against the Vikings in September while the December game is in a dome. Yeah, I would agree with that to a degree, especially because it was that way last year too. Like the New Year's Eve game was at US Bank. Like at least alternate a little bit, make the Vikings play outside every once in a while. The Vikings have a cool stadium. Wish it was outside. But as far as domes go, they do have one of the cooler domes, probably the coolest dome. It actually has some character. It feels like a stadium and not just this, septic theater. Here's Matt LaFleur, just kind of get us back into the Packers, talking about how dominated the Titans, both sides of the ball. I still don't think we've talked enough about the job the defense did just beating the tar out of Will Levis yesterday.
Thought it was a complete game in every phase. I mean, to take the ball away 3 times, get that pick 6 by Jair, to get 8 sacks. I mean, that was a big time defensive performance. Offensively did enough to get the win. And then I think just, our specialists made some big time plays.
Robin Stoddard says, Grant, screw you and the rest of the spoiled Packers fans who've never had to deal with losing. I don't know, Rob, just be better. Like, how many quarterbacks you guys going to draft and still not figure it out? I don't know. Don't be mad, Rob. Don't be jealous. Just be better. I still think Caleb's probably going to be good. But I'm shocked that a defensive head coach and a young quarterback immediately aren't gelling right away. Shocked. Couldn't have seen that one coming. You don't have any evidence to indicate that doesn't work. Let's take a call. Wisco Sports Show. Hello, who's this?
Southside Scott.
Southside Scott. Hey, Scott. What's up?
Well, I was rooting for 2 teams yesterday, and I pretty much, you can probably guess who I was rooting for.
Well, not the are you a Vikings and Packers guy?
No, I'm the Broncos and Packers guy.
Oh, yeah, Broncos, Packers. Bo Nix all of a sudden showing signs of life. How about that, Scott?
The defense showed signs of life, too, taming Mayfield from having an awesome first 2 weeks of the season, and the defense kind of quieted him down in Tampa Bay.
That's why it's so hard to bet on football. Is the Bucs, the way that they've played and how good they've looked, just felt like a lock at home against Bo Nix, who struggled, and then the Broncos blow them out because that's just how the NFL works, Scott.
5 sacks, and the Packers got 8 sacks, and it was a sack day for me.
I was going to try to come up with something clever. I got nothing.
But I just had to call and say, hey, what's up? And it was a good day for both teams. So
it was a good day for both teams. It was cool to watch the defense do their thing. Southside Scott, appreciate it. I think it was cool that the most excited Malik Willis got was talking about the defense. Let's listen to a little bit of Malik Willis. This is him talking about the defense after the game.
Oh my goodness, they went crazy. That
was my goodness, they went crazy.
Oh my goodness, they went crazy. That was amazing. 8 sacks, right? Oh my goodness, that was super. I mean, they won the game for us. If we want to say that, them guys did great. Everybody deserved a game ball. I'll pay how much money out of my pocket to everybody. They keep doing that. I add to their salaries. Oh my goodness. Hey, that was amazing. But it was good to see, and those guys work hard all week, and you just love to see it come to fruition out there on the field.
It's as excited as he sounds. Malik Willis talking about coming back to Tennessee. He sounds like he does not care. He does not sound that excited.
More than anything, I think it's just a different opportunity. I only got 3 starts here as a rookie. And like I said before, I just wasn't ready at that point in time. And I've had a lot of time to just, work hard and just grind every day in order to make use of my next opportunity, which I've been just trying to do this last 2 weeks. And I think more than anything, you just try to continue to work hard and understand that you don't know when an opportunity will come, but you have to be ready for it if you get it.
Straight face, company line. not getting out over his skis, and then gets asked about the defense.
Oh my goodness, they went crazy.
They went crazy. Loss is cool. One thing that I noticed earlier today, and I bookmarked this. So Andy Herman grades all the Packer games. You don't have to take him as gospel. He's just going through and evaluating players. Does the first rank versus second race versus the third rank, like, is that scientifically perfect? Maybe, maybe not. But when Andy Herman says, hey, here's 5 Packers that I think graded really well, here's 5 Packers that I think graded really poorly, I feel like we can all probably agree, okay, well, the guys he had at the top probably belong there. The guys he had at the bottom probably belong there, right? His top 3 graded Packers were Malik Willis, Sean Ryan, and Emmanuel Wilson. And I thought that was interesting, if only because we were talking about Emmanuel Wilson last week. And I've said for weeks, if Emmanuel Wilson could just be 15% better than last year, they have a running back there that they can use. And how good did he look yesterday? Catching the pass, really sure-handed, catching the ball, scoring that touchdown from long ways out, following his blockers. And this is the audio from Matt LaFleur that I played you question and answer from last week.
How much more comfortable are you putting Emmanuel Wilson out there for double-digit touches than you were maybe a couple months ago?
A lot more comfortable. I think he's done a good job.
Commanding answer.
And he continues to get better. And when given opportunities, I think he's maximized those. So for him, it's just about being consistent down in and down out and making sure you're doing all the little things on a day-to-day. But I've got a lot of confidence in he.
That's a confident answer, right? I kept playing this last week.
I think he's done a good job. A lot more comfortable.
A lot more comfortable. And look at how he played. Like, they got something in Emmanuel Wilson, and thank goodness, because Marshawn Lloyd hasn't really been available to play yet. 608-321-1670. One more call, then we'll take our last break. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, it's Ryan. How you doing, Grant?
Hey, Ryan, what's going on? Another lacrosse listener.
Heck yeah, man. Such a pleasing game to watch yesterday. I cannot imagine how bad it must make the Tennessee Titans front office look.
Yeah, if I was a Titans fan, I don't even know that I could be mad. I'd be sad. I'd be depressed. And here's the thing, and I said this back at the beginning of the show, Ryan, tell me if you agree or disagree. If the Titans were the Niners, like, this would be a huge story. This is hilarious. The Packers took this guy for a 7th round pick, have had him for 3 weeks, and used him to beat their ass 3 weeks later. But it's the Titans, so not a huge national brand, not a huge following, so I don't know that people care. But imagine, like, if the Chiefs, if they lost Mahomes for a couple weeks, they acquire Trey Lance for a 7th round pick, insert him and use him to beat the Niners, and Trey Lance looks better than Brock Purdy. It's the number one story. Everyone's talking about it. It's hilarious. But it's the Titans, so no one's really that bent out of shape about it.
Right. Or if it was the Cowboys, oh God, could you imagine their fans throwing a hissy fit? Well, because they currently have Trey Lance. Or if suddenly, if the Cowboys, who as maligned as they've been, went and, as you said, then played the Niners, and Trey Lance, because Dak Prescott was injured, came in and just went off the the stories would be dominating headlines.
Yeah.
It's a great day, great week to be a Packer fan. The Vikings look very good as well, but as you were saying earlier, which I really appreciated, they were playing to beat the Colts. They were playing to beat the Titans. Let's enjoy this. Jeff Hafley and LaFleur together seem very adaptable, and I'm very encouraged to see what happens. And do you know if that's going to be, what time is that on Sunday?
I think it's let me check. I saw today that they're going to have the Kevin Harlan crew. It's at noon, CBS. So Kevin Harlan's going to have the call, which would be cool. I like that.
I freaking love Kevin Harlan.
Yeah. Our king, our Green Bay, Wisconsin-based king. So yeah, that works out pretty well. I thought that maybe Packers Vikings would get the Nance Romo crew, but they might be sending them. Is there an Eagles game? I can't remember. I saw it earlier today. I just saw there was Kevin Harlan, which is great.
Right. And I completely forgot that Kevin Burkhardt on Fox is the one who has Tom Brady with him now, because I thought to myself, when did Greg Olsen start yelling, oh, all the time? And no, it's Tom Brady.
No, I've enjoyed Brady. I don't know that he's been the world's best announcer, but also, like, we got to calm down a little bit. And Ryan, I apologize. I got to go. Maybe I'll see you this week, I'm sure, when we're in lacrosse. I don't know that Brady's been the world's worst announcer either. Like, people just got to take a little bit of a pill. Kevin Burkhardt doesn't really feel like a 1 yet to me, but that's just personal preference. Like, I really like Joe Davis. I really enjoyed Daryl Johnston yesterday. Call me crazy. I don't know. I think Fox is very deep. I don't know that their 1 feels as strong as any other network's 1, but I think their stable of pairings is as good and as deep as anybody's. Who cares also? But it is cool. It will be cool to have Kevin Harlan calling a Packer game. That'll be really fun. 608-321-1670. Any final thoughts? Text them in. We'll wrap up the Wisco Sports Show next.
This is the Wisco with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
It's the Wisco Sports Show. Last couple of minutes. Getting caught up in comments over on the live stream. I do my best to watch them all, but we got the text line, we got the phone calls, we got the comments. If there's one thing that's going to fall by the wayside, it's probably the live stream comments. I'm sorry about that. Andrew on the idea that this weekend is a must win, and I say that in very loose clothes, but I'm trying to emphasize, hey, your divisional rivals, your big divisional rivals, you got to take advantage of those matchups at home, because if you don't win those games at home, then you're forced to either get swept by that opponent or try to win one in their building, and that's what Andrew says. Packers with Favre were always trying to win at Minneapolis as well. Could you say that one of the two division rival games is a must-win? If not at home, you have to upset them at their house. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Unless you're so, head and shoulders better than them the rest of the year, you don't need to win your divisional games. But in the NFL, it's pretty difficult to do that. It's difficult to win your division and not at least hold serve. in the divisional games. So I would agree with you. You got to beat the Vikings once. You got to beat the Lions at least once. You got to beat the Bears at least once. Ideally, you beat maybe one or two of them twice. You avoid getting swept. And if you lose the game at home, then you're needing to go get them at their place. And to be fair to the Packers, they did do that last year. They did that on New Year's Eve. So they went up to US Bank. They've won there before. That was against, oh God, who is that against? Quarterback from BYU. Jaron Hall. Jaron Hall. It was backups last year. Now this year, Sam Darnold's a backup, but Sam Darnold was in camp, right? He's familiar. He's played in the NFL before. Jaron Hall had not. And I'm also not sure that Jaron Hall can throw the football very well at all. So there's that, right? But the Packers did go up there last year. A little bit of a different circumstance. I'd say actually a lot different of a circumstance. But not to say that they couldn't do it again. I think the Packers could go to Ford Field and win. They did it last year. I think they could go to US Bank and win. They did it last year. It's just harder. So, Andrew, to your point, you got to win some games in your division. And if you're not winning them at home, then that's a win that you need to go get on the road. And that's particularly daunting. Plug your ears, Pat Murphy, at US Bank Stadium or at Ford Field, especially the way that the fans at Ford Field are really behind this Lions team and, this Vikings team. I mean, they've bodied the Niners and the Texans the last 2 weeks. Not just covered, not just applied themselves well, but bodied, beat up the Niners, beat up the Texans, made them look bad, outclassed them completely, which is insane considering their starters, Sam Darnold. Testament to their coaches is, Matt LaFleur and Malik Willis. It's a testament to the Green Bay Packers and what they've been doing as well. So we'll continue to talk about that tomorrow. 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. No Brewers. Night off from the Brewers. We got the weekend off from the Badgers. We'll pick this up tomorrow night. Start to transition, start to look forward to, the Vikings game, less reveling in the Titans game, more previewing what's coming up this weekend. So enjoy the night tonight. 2 NFL games. I'm also watching High Surf, the new lifeguard drama on Fox. So 2-night premiere continues tonight. Tap in if you're also watching this new show. Have an